Hey Explorers, I am coming to you with some exciting news about some videos that I'll be putting out this year. In order to follow along with my REACH curriculum, the C in REACH stands for community. I want all of you to learn a little bit more about the community in which you live, which is the town of Clayton. So to introduce this first video that I'm going to show you for a local business, I wanted to first talk to you about where we live. We, of course, are on planet Earth, as you see this beautiful globe. But even smaller than that, we are in the United States, right here connected in North America. It's inside of North America. And then if we get a little bit closer up, you can see all the United States. And we've even got Alaska and Hawaii over here, even though that's not where they're actually located. But over here is where I want you to focus because this is where you are. We are in the state of North Carolina, inside of the United States, inside of North America, on planet Earth. And if we get even more zoomed in, well, not quite zoomed in, but Clayton is right here where the star is. And we are in Johnston County, which is in the, North Carolina. And when you get smaller into Johnston County, here are all the little towns and areas that are in Johnston County. Right here is Clayton. We are in the town of Clayton. If you look at Google Images, this is what Clayton might look like when you're zoomed out quite a bit. And if you zoom in more and more, you'll find us, East Clayton Elementary School. And today I want to take you on a journey to another business close by East Clayton Elementary School. In fact, it's only 3.4 miles away if you were to walk. So let's follow this dotted line, and it goes all the way over here to a shopping center. And from the road, the shopping center looks like this. It's called Southern Village, and inside Southern Village is located Elite Chiropractic. And you might be thinking, what in the world is Elite Chiropractic and why should I care about this? Well, let me introduce you to my friend, Dr. Jordan Bonham. He took me on an amazing virtual tour, and I want all of you to experience that tour right now for yourselves.
Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Jordan Bonham. I practice in Clayton, North Carolina at Elite Chiropractic Center, and I am a chiropractor. So I wanted to talk to you about what we do. We work with a lot of people, everything from newborn babies. So my youngest patient was 4 days old, all the way up to full-grown adults. My oldest patient was 96. So basically from the time you're born to the time that you die, we can see you everywhere in between, and we're all about keeping you happy and so you can do everything you like to do without being in pain and with being able to do it as best as possible. So I'm going to first show you our therapy area. So this area is where you'd first come in when you go to the office after you sign in. Some of the nurses would bring you back here. And we have all sorts of therapy stations that you can see, and I'm going to just kind of show you and tell you a little bit about what they do. So this table to start, when you lay on it, you can see that there's a divot in here. There's a little roller machine that goes in there, and what it does is it pushes on your back and it allows your spine to start moving. So whenever I do my job, I'm checking the individual pieces of the spine that we're going to show you in a little bit to make sure each and every one is moving perfectly. This one kind of helps start the process just by getting things loosened up and getting all the muscles relaxed. It almost feels like a massage. It feels fantastic. This machine over here has a bunch of different functions. You can see it has a lot of buttons to it. This little head right here, you can use it on the skin. It's called ultrasound. So when you were inside your mom's belly, they used ultrasound to see you, and you might have seen that on TV before. This is a little bit different. This one is warm, and it helps heat up muscles, and just like when you take a shower or a bath and your muscles feel nice and loose, that's kind of what this does. It heats up the muscles and it allows them to start to heal and get really nice and loose so that whenever I'm working on you, you don't have really tight, stiff muscles. This also feels pretty good. I'm just going to go out and say everything we do here feels pretty good. There's a couple cords over here, and you can see that they have plugins. They almost look like the things that attach to your TV for your video games. And these little pads, these sticky pads stick to different muscles, and they have a little bit of a tingle. So if you've ever licked a battery, I wouldn't do it, it doesn't feel good. But if you've ever licked a battery, it creates a little bit of a tingle. These kind of do the same thing, and what they do is they get the muscle to contract, which means whenever you make a muscle like this, that's a contraction. And as it does that, it helps pump blood, which is good for the muscle. Blood is good for healing. And it also helps take away pain. So this little signal coming into the body, it goes all the way up your spine and through your spinal cord, which again, we're going to show you in a little bit. and it blocks all the pain messages coming to your brain. So believe it or not, and this will be a fun fact that you can probably tell your parents, if you hurt right here, your brain is the thing that's sensing the pain. So even though it hurts here, you're actually noticing the pain up here, and it's noticing it all the way down there, and that's why you feel it there. I think that's pretty cool. So we use this machine a lot for a lot of different people. If you're in pain or you have stiff muscles, you'll probably be using this. If you've been seeing us for a little while and we've been working with you and your body's feeling pretty good, that's when you'd be on the roller table as kind of a massage. So we have a couple of these tables, so we'll see anywhere from 5 or 6 people at a time. But whenever a new patient comes in, we're going to show you where we take them. So when you go to a chiropractor, since we're working on your spine and different parts of your body, sometimes we have to take a look at what your bones look like because it helps us to know what's really going on. So in here, we have our exam room, and you can see even some of the artwork. This is basically a painting of a spine and all the nerves that come out of it, and you can see what the spinal cord kind of looks like. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. So if you were a new patient in our office, you'd come in and you'd sit on this table, and we'd start to ask you what's going on, whether it's your neck or your lower back or your elbow or your knee or your foot. We work on any part of the body that's a joint, which is basically all the parts that bend. So you'd be sitting here, we'd be doing some stuff, we'd be feeling the muscles, feeling how your body's moving. We'd ask you how it started, whether it just came up over time or if you fell playing basketball or baseball or anything like that. We use some of these tools. So I know you've seen these when you've gone to the doctor, a reflex hammer. So you tap your knee. Mine doesn't work very well. Or the vibration hammer, so this thing, it vibrates, and we can put it on different parts of the body to make sure you can feel it. Believe it or not, if your nerves start working or stop working, you don't feel this when we put it on you. And that's a good sign that you have a problem going on with the nerves in your spine that we need to work on. This over here, this big crazy machine, is our x-ray machine. So this back plate is where we get the x-ray from. And this is the thing that actually produces the x-rays. So an x-ray is almost like sound that you can't hear, so that when you stand in front of it, you can see there's this light box. It shows you where the x-ray is going to happen. The x-rays would come through, and it would make the image in this, which goes to our computer, and then we can take a look at those. So I'm going to show you what a couple of those look like. So here we have an x-ray that we took earlier this week of actually a kid in high school that plays baseball. So if you're a baseball player, this is what this guy looks like. And this is the front of him. So you can see these are his shoulder bones that are right here, and then his neck bones from the front. When we look at him from the side, you can see some of his teeth. You can see his skull. We don't really see any kind of brain or muscles in x-rays. We just see the shadow of them. So up here you see his skull, but it looks like there's nothing in it. I promise you he has a brain. And then you see his neck. Now, the reason we're treating him is because he's been having some pain in his neck, and the reason I think that that's going on, and you can see this shadowy curve, this is where his muscles are, and the spine is supposed to have that same curve, and you can see that it doesn't. It's actually pretty straight. This is what happens whenever we don't have good posture, and whenever we're looking down at our phones like this all day, or we're looking down into books or in papers. So when you're in school, it's really important to keep your head up. And if you're looking at your phone, use your arms to bring it up to you, or your book. Or if you absolutely have to look down at your desk, sometimes it's better to scoot your butt back and lean your whole body instead of just using your neck, because what it does is it takes away that curve. When that curve goes away, it irritates muscles, it irritates the different parts of the neck, and it starts to cause pain, and it can cause a lot of other problems down the road too that we really don't want to have to deal with. I also want to show you another x-ray so you can see the whole body. So this is the lower back and the pelvis. So your pelvis is your hip bones. So if you put your hands onto your hips, you can feel those bones down there. That's what these bones are. So anytime somebody comes in, if they have a problem in their neck, if they have a problem in their lower back, their wrist, or their knee, if it seems like it's something that we need to take a look at, we don't always have to x-ray, but oftentimes we do so that we know what we're going to be working on. So I'm going to show you where I do all the stuff that I do. So when we have somebody come in, they'll usually get adjusted, which is what a chiropractor does. It's not a crack, it's not a pop, it's an adjustment. And then oftentimes, because people are doing all sorts of crazy things and their muscles can get tight or they can get weak, we take them out into our rehab area. I have it set up so I can show you a couple different things. Oftentimes whenever we work with athletes, so like I mentioned, the baseball player, we have football players, basketball players, soccer players, we have cheerleaders and gymnasts. Basically any sport that people are doing, if they get injured or they're looking to get better at it, we can work with them here. So the first thing we have here is a balance board. I snowboard in the winter, so occasionally I'll jump on this thing to see if I can get a little bit better balance for snowboarding, because if any of you snowboard, you know that you kind of have to do this motion. So the goal here is to be able to keep this thing nice and level without it hitting either side. Now we can also use this for soccer players that hurt their knees. We can use this for baseball players, especially pitchers. What we'll do is, since they're going to be pitching on one leg like this, we'll put one foot on the balance thing and we'll have them pretend to be pitching, and they have to control this motion. It's a good way to start to make sure the body's strong in a bunch of different ways, because I'm sure if you're doing sports, you know that all it takes is one little wrong step and something kind of feels off and it hurts. If it hasn't happened yet, it probably will, don't worry. Some of you might have seen this before. This is called a kettlebell. So this has a lot of different functions, but we use this to start strengthening people. So whether we're having them hold it and doing squats, or holding it right here and kind of going side to side, this helps to train different parts of the body where muscles have gotten weak and we need to start to strengthen. Typically, if somebody gets injured, the first thing we do is try and get the swelling down. So if you've ever rolled your ankle, you know what the swelling looks like. And then we have to make sure any muscles that are tight, we can loosen them. And then we have to make sure all the weak muscles, we can strengthen them. Only then you can go back to your sport and you can be as good at it as you were without risking injury. This thing is called a foam roller, and you can use this to basically roll out any tight muscles in your body. So let's say that I'm a high school football player and I'm always in the weight room and I'm always playing football on the weekends and my legs are really tight. I can do different things on the foam roller. So I'd put this here, I can come over here and roll my legs out, and it doesn't feel very good when you're doing it, but when you get up, your legs feel brand new. So this is some different stuff that we would do for some of our younger athletes to make sure that their bodies are either healing from the injuries that they've gotten in the sports, or if they're just trying to stay as good as possible for their sports, making sure that all their muscles and their bones are working properly so that they can get out there and do their thing. So I'm going to take you into my office where we do all of our treatments. And the first thing that you see that takes up most of the room is the table. So when people come in, they climb onto the table. I'm able to feel their back, all their muscles, their neck and stuff, and that's really where I feel those joints to make sure they're all working properly, because within the joints of the spine is the spinal cord, and that's basically where the brain, the wires that the brain uses to talk to the body. So when you look at this, this is what your spine looks like in your body. It's about the same size as me. You see these little spaghetti looking things coming out of it, those are all your nerves. So in the spine, there's 24 vertebrae, and this is a vertebra. So each one of these little pieces that stacks on top of each other is a vertebra. This is your hip bone, so it's called your pelvis. Your sacrum's in the middle, and then this thing way up here is your skull. That's where your brain sits. And essentially, your brain sits right here, and your spinal cord comes all the way down through here, and it stops about right here. And all these nerves have to come out at each level to talk to things like your muscles, your organs, your eyes, your ears, everything, so that they can work. Think of it like your video game system in your TV. If you start taking out wires, you might lose sound, or you might lose the video, or the TV might go off altogether. The nerves do the same thing in the body. They take the power from the brain and they help control everything that's going on. So over here you can see a chart of all those nerves that I was talking about and what they look like in the body. So up here we have the brain, and then you have the spine and all the nerves that are coming out of it. And believe it or not, this isn't even all of them. This is just most of the big ones. So you can see how important the neck is, like we talked about with that guy with his straight neck. All these nerves that come down to control the arm. And then you've got the lower back and all those nerves that come down to control the leg. So if you think about it, whether it's you're out there playing your sport or you're in the classroom and you need to be writing, you need to have good nerve function in your neck or your legs to be able to get up and move how you want to move. There's a lot of athletes that use this, so a fact that I think is pretty cool, every NFL team has a chiropractor on their staff. Every baseball team in the MLB has a chiropractor on their staff. Almost every hockey team, I think 70% of them have a chiropractor on their staff. Everybody in soccer and FIFA and all that have a chiropractor on their staff, and even the Olympics, the guy that was the head of all the medicine in the Olympics this past year was a chiropractor. So a lot of these really, elite athletes that are out there doing things that nobody else can do are seeing the value in having your nervous system, which is all your nerves in your brain, functioning as well as it can to control your body. So there's 206 bones in your body. Like I said, there's 24 vertebrae, so a lot of them are just in the spine. And then when you look at the muscular system, all your muscles, there's about 480 muscles. That's a lot of muscles to have to coordinate. And they look like this. And I know this might look gross to some of you guys, but you can see that all of these things are overlapping and stuff like that, and this is what allows you to move. So if your muscles aren't working well because the wires coming from the spine aren't talking to them the best way, you're not going to be able to do the things you like to do the best that you can do them. So this is where my job really becomes fun, because I can see anybody from a little kid that likes to play sports all the way up to a high school person or even an elite athlete like professional baseball players or football players, and make their body work better. But I can also see people like your mom, your dad, and your grandma that just want to be able to go out and do the things that they like to do, whether it's garden or exercise, and just make sure that they're able to do them comfortably without pain and safely. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tour of the office. If you ever want to come check things out, you can stop by. Like I said, this is Elite Chiropractic Clayton.